This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Thursday, the 6th day of May in the year 2021. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Former President David Granger has filed a more than $2 billion lawsuit against public communications consultant Christopher Kit Nascimento, the Stabroek News, the Kaiecho News, and the Guyana Times newspapers. The lawsuit is in response to statements that were contained in various letters written by Mr. Nascimento and published in the three newspapers last year, just after the elections. Through his attorney, Senior Counsel Roysdale Ford, the former president is contending that the published letters, which were written by Kit Nascimento, contained statements that were libelous against him and which sought to impugn his character. The letters were written and published over a period of time and attacked Mr. Granger's handling of the issues surrounding the 2020 elections and the aftermath. Granger was president at the time. Among the reliefs being sought are a retraction and apology, a number of injunctions against the republishing of the letters or repeating the statements made in them, and the permanent removal of the offending letters from the online edition of the newspapers. In the lawsuit, Mr. Granger contends that the publication of the letters was intended to and calculated to affect him as a politician and a leader in the community and country, with a view of lowering him in the estimation of right-thinking persons in the news. He also points out in the claim that throughout the electoral process, he made it clear that he will abide by the declaration handed down on the elections by the chairman of the Elections Commission. And he did just that when the final declaration was made. More news coming up in just a moment.
Guyana, we've been through it all.
But as a people, we have
weathered every storm
and risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
that gives it its strength.
all the people,
regardless of race,
class, or religion.
We are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
My name is Dr. Karen Cummings, a public health specialist and former minister within the Ministry of Public Health. I have taken my Sputnik V vaccine today. It was a very simple process. I encourage you to come and take your vaccine very soon so that we can contain this virus and have herd immunity in Guyana.
Mobil 1 is more than oil. It's many oils. It transforms at the molecular level. When cold, it's thicker than honey. When hot, it's thinner than water. Mobil 1 adapts and readapts to last longer. 16,000 kilometers between oil changes. That's your engine evolved.
Sol Guyana is the authorized distributor of Mobil lubricants.
At Sash Financial, we create strategies for strengthening business and personal finances while helping our clients to build sustainable wealth. Our financial and business consultancy services are uniquely tailored to ensure every client receives quality packages and optimal results. Our financial services include financial reporting and analysis, financial status assessment, internal audits, bookkeeping and records management, financial planning advice, tax returns. Our business advisory services are related to business plans, business startups, operational improvement, business management, document preparation, procedures development, efficient marketing. Call or WhatsApp us today for your free consultation on telephone number 592-665-6045. Sash Financial, strengthening businesses, building wealth.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right, walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong, be the one to live right.
Mom, what are you doing with GPL on your list?
Child, you forgot I have to pay GPL?
You got time with GPL?
I have to keep these lights on. The customers who think in that manner and refuse to honor their obligation to GPL are obviously not playing their part in ensuring quality service delivery. So, I will continue to pay my GPL bill on time, every time.
I recognize the value of your point, Mom. You were right.
Welcome back. The Guyana Police Force has filed charges against opposition members of Parliament Christopher Jones and Annette Ferguson, along with several other persons, for allegedly participating in an illegal procession. The charges date back to the 26th of April, when there was a gathering outside the High Court for the election petition ruling and the protest march just after the ruling. Jones and Ferguson and a number of APNU AFC supporters have received a summons to appear at a Georgetown Magistrates Court tomorrow, Friday. They are to be charged with taking part in a procession without permission of the Chief Officer of Police. In a statement to News Source, Mr. Jones, who is the opposition's chief whip in Parliament, said the move to file charges is another clear case of victimization and political witch hunting, spearheaded by the Guyana Police Force.
Right, so essentially myself and Annette Ferguson and I think 6 other persons receive summons to appear tomorrow to answer the charge of illegal procession. It speaks to Crowell and Regent Street. Now, at no point in time was I involved in any procession. At the end of the court ruling, I left the courts with Annette Ferguson and we went down to Border Market, then made my way to Coffee Square where my vehicle was parked. Even if they use the CCTV cameras that are around the square, they will see my vehicle parked there and they will see the time in which myself and Annette arrived to uplift the vehicle. It is a continued victimization of political activists in this country and the political use of the Guyana Police Force by the People's Progressive Party Civic to silence opposition members, to silence political activists in this country.
The Member of Parliament also said he's convinced that political directions have led to the charges.
It is a dangerous precedent being set. And of course, I mean, if the PPP believes in some way that this could be used to silence me or deter me from my activism, is no way. This in fact make me much stronger. But what the world have to look and see, it is those dictatorial tendencies of the PPP that we spoke about ad nauseum. It is this again being played out in this scenario. A blatant use of the Guyana Police Force to silence opposition members and to trample on the right of association and movement. I walked on the pavement along Regent Street heading to uplift my car on the day in question.
Jones also said he was at the court for the hearing on the day of the protest. He said he left the courthouse and went to pick up his vehicle, walking along Regent Street in the process. He denied leading any illegal procession.
Just myself and Annette Ferguson, just the two of us walking on the pavement. On the pavement. So I don't know what procession they're referring to. And I don't know since when it is illegal or an offense of the law for 2 persons to be walking on the pavement during the day at high sunshine during the day. It was ridiculousness.
The Member of Parliament said a battery of lawyers will be at the court tomorrow to make representation on his behalf. Let's tell you now that in the first 5 days of May, Guyana has recorded more than 600 new coronavirus cases and 12 deaths. The death toll has now reached 310, and there are now 1,844 active cases of the virus in the country. 99 of those active cases are in the hospital, while the remaining 1,745 are in home isolation. The country is currently seeing the highest number of active cases since the pandemic was first recorded back here a year ago. Every region has recorded new cases in the past 24 hours, with regions 4 and 3 leading the pack with the highest number of new infections and active cases. Today, the Health Minister, Dr. Frank Anthony, said the highest death rate has been recorded among persons above the age of 60. He said he's therefore pleased that persons in that same age group are taking the vaccination program seriously and have been turning up in their numbers to get vaccinated.
We knew that this age group was quite vulnerable because we were seeing a lot of them getting sick coming into the hospital and some of them getting into the ICU. So, while this is a good number, we still want to move that up to the 80s, possibly the 90s. So we have some work to do. So if you know of anyone who is 60 and above, we need to encourage them to still come out and get their first dose.
Over 60% of Guyanese above the age of 60 have received the first dose of the coronavirus vaccine.
What we have seen is that based on our records in terms of immunization, we have seen quite a good uptake with persons 60 years and above. And so in that age category, we have 61.3% of persons 60 years and above who would have already taken their first dose of the vaccine. And that's good. We would like that to go up to about 80%, so we still have a little bit more to go.
The health minister said the ministry will continue with its vaccination drive. Over 150,000 persons have already received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. An 18-month project to strengthen the capacity of the Guyana Elections Commission and the Attorney General's chambers regarding electoral processes is being supported by the U.S. Department of State. The project also seeks to encourage civil society organizations to advocate for electoral reform in accordance with regional and international standards. The project will be implemented by the International Republican Institute. According to the U.S. Embassy, through the project, GCOM, the Attorney General's chambers, and civil society organizations will collaboratively consolidate and improve local electoral and constitutional law knowledge, establish an internal timeline to address electoral reform, improve collaboration for joint advocacy actions, and prioritize electoral and constitutional law issues while promoting reform through citizen engagement. The project is part of ongoing U.S. government support to strengthen the capacity of Guyana's governance. Earlier this week, representatives of the International Republican Institute met with the Attorney General at his chambers. The Attorney General said the main issue discussed was electoral and constitutional reform. He said the International Republican Institute has expressed its commitment to work with the government of Guyana and the Elections Commission in making the reforms a reality. The International Republican Institute will be coordinating and implementing the project that should lead to electoral reform. The group is also expected to reach out to the Indian and Canadian governments through their local representatives, since both countries have indicated their interest in supporting electoral reform in Guyana. Police investigators in Region 1 are probing the murder of a gold miner in the area at the hands of his wife. Police have identified the dead man as Damien George of Baramita, Northwest District in Region 1. He was 35 years old. The man was stabbed to the side of the head by the wife yesterday morning at their home. The woman reportedly left the scene after the incident. The body was later discovered and the man was rushed to the health center in the area where he was pronounced dead. The wife has since been taken into custody as the probe continues. Charges could be filed against her as early as tomorrow. A 17-year-old murder accused who escaped from the juvenile detention center in Sophia 3 weeks ago has been recaptured and is now back in custody. He could face escape from legal custody charges as he awaits his murder trial. The teen escapee was nabbed at the house in Bushlot Village, West Coast, Berbice. Acting on a tip-off, a party of police officers went to the area yesterday and found the teen hiding in the lower flat of the building. He was taken into custody without incident. On the 22nd of April, 5 inmates of the Juvenile Detention Center escaped. 4 of them have since been recaptured. The search is ongoing for the remaining escapee. In the courts tonight, a 74-year-old man from Mahdia is resting in prison this evening after he was remanded today for possession of narcotics for the purpose of trafficking. The man, Israel Jacob of Wrong Turn Madia, was nabbed on the 29th of April with a bag of compressed marijuana and a quantity of cash. He was immediately arrested. He made his court appearance today virtually and entered a not guilty plea to the charges. The elderly man was remanded to prison until the 24th of May, when the matter will come up again. A 34-year-old farmer and a 39-year-old housewife of good for acting on the east coast of Demerara were charged today for being in possession of marijuana for the purpose of trafficking. The two, Shelroy Clark and Patricia Grant, were allegedly held with just over 1 pound of compressed marijuana. During their appearance at the Sparendam Magistrates Court today, they both pleaded not guilty and were granted bail in the sum of $350,000 each. They will make their next court appearance on the 3rd of June. Still in the courts, a 32-year-old registered male nurse, Johan London of Christianburg, Linden, was sentenced to 3 years in jail today after he pleaded guilty to luring a child. Details of the charge or the incident were not released by the police, owing to a child being the victim. The charge, however, made reference to the Cybercrime Act, which indicates that a man used a computer or phone in the execution of the crime. After the charge was read to London at the Linden Magistrates Court today, he entered his guilty plea and accepted a 3-year prison sentence.
Listen to me, Guyana. This is DJ Garwin. I've just been vaccinated and I'm urging you to go get vaccinated also. Remember, the longer you take the vaccine is the more we're going to be locked down. So my people, go out there, get your vaccine, be on the safe side. Remember, vaccine works.
Guyana Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guyana's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive!
Across the region tonight, Jamaica has banned persons from Trinidad and Tobago from entering its country because of the Brazilian variant of COVID-19. Trinidad and Tobago will join the list of South American countries which now have travel restrictions placed on them. Jamaica, which is open for tourism, does not want visitors from Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Paraguay, and Peru, where the Brazilian variant has been raging. On Monday, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley disclosed that he was recently informed by his Jamaican counterpart, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, of the ban. The Prime Minister noted that his country's close proximity to South America may be one of the reasons for the ban. At present, there are Caribbean Airlines flights from and to Guyana. The Prime Minister said Trinidad and Tobago finds itself in a peculiar geographical location. The Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, has urged residents of the Caribbean region not to neglect to protect themselves against mosquito-borne diseases, even as they battle the COVID-19 pandemic. During the last quarter of last year, several CARFA member states reported localized outbreaks of dengue, which placed an even greater burden on national health systems already engaged in managing the coronavirus pandemic. The Trinidad-based CARFA noted that the potential for outbreaks to occur and the introduction of new mosquito-borne diseases in the region are ever-present threats, and it is working in conjunction with member states and various international development partners on strategies to prevent and control mosquito-borne diseases in the region. CARFA also pointed out that as the rainy season approaches, water can accumulate in the base of plant pots, vases, buckets, and used vehicle tires, which are typical breeding sites, and an increase in infected populations will further the risk of disease transmission. And finally tonight, international news. At least 25 people, including a police officer, were killed in a shootout in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, according to media reports. Police launched the operation after receiving reports that drug traffickers were recruiting children for their gang. 2 passengers on a metro train were hit by bullets but survived. Police in the Brazilian city confirmed the death of one of its officers. The police chief told Reuters news agency that today's raid was the largest number of deaths in a police operation in Rio. According to local news, the gang targeted in the raid engages in drug trafficking, mugging, murders, and kidnappings. Television images showed suspects trying to escape across rooftops as the police entered the area. Meanwhile, residents of the area where the shooting took place have shared their accounts of the shooting incident on social media. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.